king!
On the 8th of September 2022, thousands gathered outside Buckingham Palace in central London. There was an absolute silence when the flag was lowered to half-mast.
Buckingham Palace has announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. In a statement, the palace said the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon.
The crowd surged to the gates as the notice announcing the death of the only monarch most Britishers have ever known became public. They lamented the passing of Britain's longest-serving monarch. She died peacefully at her home at Balmoral Castle in Scotland at the age of 96. Queen Elizabeth II reigned for 70 years, 7 months and 2 days. Though her reign was frequently overshadowed by scandals involving her family, the sovereign was praised for her devotion to duty. Queen Elizabeth II's death marked the end of an era. It also snapped the link between Britain's imperial past and the modern world, a world where the royal family is now struggling to stay relevant. How long will the UK monarchy last?
Relevance is absolutely crucial to the monarchy. The big threat to the future of the House of Windsor is not mobs storming the gate. It's not revolution. It's becoming irrelevant. They understand that. You've got to, the Queen always used to say, we have to be seen to be believed. They have to play a part in national life.
Even before the Queen died, Buckingham Palace had a plan in place for the Queen's funeral. It was codenamed Operation London Bridge. The operation provided plans for services and succession.
Prince Charles Philip Arthur George is now, by the death of our late sovereign of happy memory, become our only lawful and rightful liege lord.
Upon the passing away of Queen Elizabeth II, the throne was passed to her eldest son, Charles, the former Prince of Wales. It was done without any formal ceremony, as per the laws of British succession. British law specifies that the heir to the throne becomes king or queen immediately after the death of the previous monarch, so that there is no period without a reigning king or queen. The official process of ascending the throne began on the 10th of September 2022, 2 days after the death of Queen Elizabeth II. However, the coronation of King Charles was planned for the 6th of May 2023 at Westminster Abbey, 8 months after the Queen passed away. Why is it that Charles's coronation ceremony took place months after he ascended the throne? Is there a reason? And what exactly is a coronation ceremony? Let's find out. A coronation is both the symbolic religious ceremony during which a sovereign is crowned and the physical act of placing a crown on a monarch's head.
God save the king!
It is a 1,000-year-old tradition where the Archbishop of Canterbury oversees the ceremony. The date for coronation is set several months after a monarch dies. This is to ensure appropriate time is provided for mourning. The crowning of a new monarch is meant to be a celebratory occasion, and so it would be inappropriate to hold the ceremony while mourning continues. This interval gives the planners enough time to complete the elaborate arrangements required. That is why Queen Elizabeth II also sat on the throne 16 months later on the 2nd of June 1953, even though her father, King George VI, died on the 6th of February 1952. King Charles's coronation formalizes the monarch's role as the head of the Church of England and marks the transfer of titles and powers. It is the first coronation the United Kingdom has seen in 70 long years. Meet Joyce Lewis. She is part of a small section of people that attended the last coronation in Britain in 1953. Back in the day, Lewis and friends camped out on the Mall, the avenue leading to Buckingham Palace, to watch the coronation procession of Queen Elizabeth II. Lewis has some vivid memories of the event.
The thing I do remember was the Queen had a bouquet, I think of probably orchids, there were white flowers, on her lap. And as she went past, these flowers were just shaking, very gently, showing what they were feeling, really, in a way. But the flowers stuck in my memory because then, of course, when she came back, she had the orb and the sceptre.
Lewis just turned 90. As someone who has witnessed the British monarchy from early on, she has pinned her hopes on King Charles.
I feel he's had a long wait for it, but I feel he's somebody who will do his best. And I think that's all a person can do. I think he's matured a lot from when he was younger. And he's, I think, grown into a very fine person and one that can be trusted to fulfill all that's required of a king in these very challenging days, far more than his mother faced, I would think.
Joyce Lewis may seem optimistic about the new monarch, but the anti-monarchist movement in Britain is also gaining momentum.
Not my king! Not my king! Not my king!
These protesters have publicly challenged King Charles's accession to the throne and the institution that he heads, holding the signboards, "Not my king." The supporters of Republic, a group founded in 1983 that campaigns for an elected head of state, believe their best chance of ending the monarchy is right now.
Down with the crown! Down with the crown! Down with the crown!
I think the monarchy's in a lot of trouble because they've lost their star player. Support is clearly going down. Interest is going down, and that's a big problem for them. So enthusiasm for the coronation's about 9%.
Just hours before King Charles's coronation, 6 demonstrators, including the leader of the anti-monarchy group Republic, Graham Smith, were arrested by the police while unloading placards near the coronation procession route in central London.
Our intention is to show that there is a Republican movement in the UK, and it is growing every single day. The trends show more and more people dislike the monarchy and want an elected head of state or no head of state or a democratic alternative to what we have now, and we're here just to show that we exist, and this is a very common belief in the UK.
Obviously most people here are here to demonstrate peacefully, and that's what I hope happens, and hopefully we get the chance to put our point of view that we should not have an unelected head of state.
According to a survey conducted by the anti-monarchy campaign group, 35% of people were against the monarchy in 2022, as opposed to 45% of people in 2023. It clearly indicates the declining support for the royal family. In fact, King Charles's coronation was scaled down with the shortest ceremony and attended by 2,000 plus guests, while the late Queen's lavish event had more than 8,000 people. Does it imply that the British monarchy is slowly becoming irrelevant in today's world? Who is the new monarch? What is his past, and how popular is the monarchy under King Charles? Let's break it down. Charles was born on the 14th of November 1948 at Buckingham Palace. The firstborn son of Elizabeth and Philip, he received a 41-gun salute in Hyde Park. He was just 4 years old when his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, was crowned as Queen. And it was in 1969 that he was first exposed to the royal roles he would eventually discharge as Britain's king. That year, at the age of 20, he was invested by the Queen as Prince of Wales at Carnarvon Castle. He served in the British Royal Air Force and Royal Navy, while also enjoying a comfortable life marked with playing polo and doing charity work. With his marriage to Lady Diana Spencer, more popularly known as Lady Diana, started a very controversial chapter of his life.
To her, so long as you both shall live.
I will.
In 1981, at the age of 32, he tied the knot with the 20-year-old Diana Spencer, a schoolteacher in London. They had first met in 1977, when Charles was reportedly courting Diana's sister, Sarah Spencer. Charles eventually parted ways with Sarah and went on to marry Diana. Their larger-than-life wedding took place at St. Paul's Cathedral in London, an event that was seen by a global television audience of about 750 million across 74 countries. In Britain, even a public holiday was declared to mark the cheerful occasion. A year later, they welcomed their newborn son, William. And 3 years later, in 1984, they were blessed with another son, Harry. He set a precedent by being the first royal father to be present at his children's births. But familial bliss soon faded away, and their marriage began faltering. Prince Charles was allegedly involved in an affair with Camilla Parker Bowles. He had met Camilla about a decade before getting married to Diana, but the two had to part ways and their romance ended. Princess Diana was aware of this affair, even famously hinting at it in a 1995 interview, saying, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded."
Do you think Mrs. Parker Bowles was a factor in the breakdown of your marriage?
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
The cracks in their marriage started becoming more evident in their glum public appearances. A month later, the shocking news of their separation was announced to the British Parliament. But matters only got worse from there. In 1993, Camilla Gate happened. The transcript of a 1989 telephonic conversation between Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles was published by the UK paper The People. The 6-minute intimate conversation sent shockwaves throughout the royal family. It exposed the relationship between the two while Prince Charles was still married to Lady Diana. Prince Charles faced even more turbulent waters the following year. In 1994, his infamous interview with John Dimbleby came out, in which he publicly confessed to having cheated on Diana.
Did you try to be faithful and honourable to your wife when you took on the vow of marriage?
Yes, absolutely.
And you were?
Yes. Until it became irretrievably broken down.
The pair ultimately divorced in 1996, but Diana's popularity continued to remain unaffected.
I think it was inevitable that when Charles became king that a lot of the personal stuff would come back to haunt him. We know a huge amount about him of a very personal nature, stuff that he in no way would want us to know. And you know, I'm talking specifically about TV interviews in the 1990s and a series of recorded telephone conversations that were leaked to newspapers of a most personal nature.
But what happened next shook the entire world. A year after their divorce, on the 31st of August 1997, Lady Diana was killed in a car crash in Paris. Her death had a moving impact on the people world over, who struggled to come to terms with what felt like a personal loss to them. Lady Diana had indeed left the world as the queen of people's hearts. In 2005, 8 years after the death of Diana, Prince Charles finally tied the knot with Camilla Parker Bowles, who had been long blamed for his failed marriage with Diana. Interestingly, Camilla decided not to use the Princess of Wales title, which had been used by Diana. Instead, she chose the Duchess of Cornwall, styling herself on her husband's other title, the Duke of Cornwall. And in 2022, this happened. In a message marking the 70th anniversary of her reign, the Queen said she wants Camilla to be known as Queen Consort when Prince Charles becomes king. At the age of 74, King Charles succeeded Queen Elizabeth II, following a lifetime of scrutiny as Britain's longest-serving heir apparent. In the years leading to his accession, Charles has hit headlines for all the wrong reasons many times over. Here are a few of the controversies that King Charles courted over the years. In 2005, King Charles committed a diplomatic blunder and shook hands with the Zimbabwean president and dictator Robert Mugabe. The incident took place during the funeral of Pope John Paul II and a day before his marriage to Camilla. Mugabe at the time was an outcast. The European Union had banned him for rigging parliamentary polls. In 2017, the Paradise Papers were released by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. It made public its investigation into how the world's rich and famous stash their wealth offshore. The The name of King Charles III cropped up among those who stashed their wealth in safe tax havens. In June last year, the Sunday Times reported that King Charles accepted €3 million from Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Hamdan bin Jassim bin Jabr Al Thani as donations to his charitable fund between 2011 and 2015. The critics said it raised serious concerns about the future king's personal judgment.
I just had a bit. Is it September 12th?
13th, sir.
Oh God, brought it in.
Also, last year, King Charles vented his frustration over a leaking pen during a signing ceremony in Northern Ireland.
Oh God, I hate this.
Oh, look, it's going everywhere.
The new monarch initially wrote down the wrong date as he signed a visitor's book in front of cameras at Belfast's Hillsborough Castle before his pen started leaking ink. Earlier this year, King Charles's son, Prince Harry, released his memoir, Spare. The book revealed several private confrontations between him and other senior royals, and the details of his split from the family. Many reports also claim that the book ruined the reputation of the royal domain. Such unending royal rifts only raised questions about Prince Charles and the monarchy. And then there's the larger question: what does the British monarchy actually do? Although the king or queen is the head of state, their powers are only ceremonial. The monarch remains politically neutral. He receives daily dispatches from the government. The Prime Minister normally meets the king on a Wednesday at Buckingham Palace. The last few years have been difficult for the Windsors. In 2021, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's interview with American chat show host Oprah Winfrey created ripples. The royals faced allegations of racism. The explosive interview showed Harry's father, King Charles, his brother, Prince William, and his grandmother, the late Queen, in a less than flattering light. Their claims plunged the monarchy into a crisis. Critics of the monarchy also say it is outdated and a waste of money. The bulk of the royal family's expenses are covered by an annual taxpayer-funded payment known as the sovereign grant. Is the cost to the public justified, especially at a time when the United Kingdom is grappling with one of Europe's worst cost of living crises? Ultimately, the future of the monarchy depends on the support of the public. The new monarch has been preparing for the crown his entire life. Does he have it in him to become the king of people's hearts?